Welcome to the Other Three Amigos, Los Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast. With Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan. So sit back, put the feet up, because it's toe tap time.
In this episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast Los Damas, we look at the impact of North American players in the league, a preview of the Shamrock Rovers versus Shels clash, the role of players as co-commentators in women's football. We are back on the footpath again, talking to Bohemians, Galway's title contention, controversial calls and concerns, and much more.
Hello and welcome to Las Damas, Season 4, Episode 22, Episode 230 of the full toe tap offerings. My name is Declan McCormack and I'm your host, as always. This is the award-winning podcast. We are now on Patreon at patreon.com/toe tap. Retweets are very important to help the pod grow, so we will always ask you to do so. And as always, our DMs are always open. Delighted to say that our Tipperary-based amigo is back with us this weekend. John, how was Spain?
It was lovely. I was a fantastic feeding ground for all the local mosquitoes. They were delighted to see a pasty Irishman appear on their shores. But it was a lovely break. Read a lot of books and chilled out, so all good. Glad to be back, though.
Delighted to have you back. We did allude to it last week that our interview with Laura Heffernan was going to be the one that pissed you off most, that you missed. How close to the bone or how close to the truth was that statement?
Yeah. Look, I'm a big fan of Laura, so it'd be lovely to kind of be in the chat and hear her live. But I thought it was excellent, really insightful, and look, it was a great interview. Sorry not to be part of it, so we'll catch her again.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod.
And my amiga, Eileen, we can say, Eileen, that you won't be here next weekend. You're also heading for foreign shores, so we do have an outstanding replacement lined up for you next weekend, so there is a danger that you won't be back at all. I should just say that straight up front.
Look, a girl can dream, can't she? I'd be more than happy to be permanently replaced on the podcast, so don't think that's a threat to me. I'm now going to take that that's a promise. So brilliant. Thanks.
If Eileen goes, I go.
If Eileen goes, the whole pod goes. It's absolutely pointless continuing. Right, guys, since we were away, or this week in Irish women's football, whichever way you want me to say it, Peamount announced the signing of Sophie Miranda. I'm going to hold my hands up here, Eileen, and say I'm going to have to rely on you to tell me exactly who Sophie Miranda is.
She's Peamount's new signing, Declan.
Okay. It's like
I
that,
don't know.
is it?
I didn't look into it. I'm just genuinely amazed. Like, the Canadian influx continues. She's Canadian as well, I think. So, obviously, look, the word is getting around that our league is a good place to play football, and I think that's great. I think I like seeing these imports into the league. We can see what a huge amount of them have offered, and look, long may it continue, because obviously the word's getting out there in the women's game that the Women's National League here is a good place to play football. So yeah, I think Peamount, we speak about them a lot, obviously, but with Champions League approaching, they do need that little bit of extra depth in their squad. And she's obviously someone who seems quite experienced on paper, but she did well when she came on up in Galway. But yeah, I don't really know anything about her other than that.
Yeah, I guess just going back to what Laura said last weekend, she did say that they had been inundated with CVs from North America, Canada, the United States. I guess all the clubs are in the same boat, John, and then it's a matter of whether they have a need and a requirement and feel like they can find somebody in North America to fill that need.
Yeah, and look, excuse me. And look, it's worked out for a lot of clubs, really, and we've had a lot of good imports. Yeah, it's interesting. And obviously, I think more and more on the US and the Canadian side, I think players are looking at the league as maybe a potential to, a lily pad to hop onto the UK or to hop on elsewhere afterwards. So it's all good. I really quickly was Googling Sophie Miranda there as you were chatting, and I can tell you that she loves avocados, and avocado toast is her favourite pre-game meal.
It's the big information we needed.
I'm
Thanks,
telling
Gemma.
you,
Absolutely.
there's a lot here in an interview I found, but that was the only question that has like a soundbite answer. So there you go.
That's what sets this podcast apart. Like, we just bring the
I'm telling you.
genuine need to know news to the listeners, you know. So I hope Sophia enjoys her avocado toast in the coming weeks. Very quickly, John, Claudia Keenan then left Wexford to join Bohemians. I guess she's going in there as backup keeper to Rachel for the moment anyway.
Yeah, and look, I think it's a good move for both Bose and for Claudia. Bose are getting a really good goalkeeper, and I think Claudia had probably, with Jane Merrin, Nicole Nix, and Maeve Williams in at Wexford, she possibly wasn't getting as much game time or as much of a look in as she would have liked. So I think it's a good move for her as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I do think Rachel Kelly is probably undroppable for Bose, really. But at the same time, Ken Kieran's got a really good goalkeeper there, and you always want competition for places, and Claudia will certainly add that, I suppose.
John, because of your background, I'm going to come back to you with this one again. Last week we had we didn't have a discussion, but look, Eileen called out Shelbourne's commentary as being poor as she saw it, and I supported that idea. That generated a lot of talk, I guess, and a lot of feedback around the league from a number of clubs. And like, there's lots lots of interesting stuff has gotten spoken about, and like, that's the one thing I'm really glad about this podcast is that it, like, whether people believe we're right or wrong, we're fair or unfair, it generates discussions, and it's generating the discussions that need to happen. So, John, as I said, coming back to you, one of the things that came out of these, chats and discussions during the week was the idea that somebody raised with me was that all profits generated by League of Ireland television should be reinvested by the clubs into the broadcasting of their games. So you use that money for training commentators, training sound people. You get together with local technical colleges, you offer opportunities to people doing courses in sound engineering, this kind of stuff. You tie in that way. And at the FAI, you ensure that this money is ring fenced either through licensing or through another process. I know the clubs will hate this. I know, the profits from LOI TV, I would imagine that most clubs just goes back into the pool of profit money and is used to pay wages or is used to pay whatever expenses are needed. But as somebody who's been, a CEO and an administrator in the league for a number of years, where do you sit with that whole idea of ring fencing the profits from LOI TV back into making sure that the broadcasting of the league in general is improved?
It's an interesting one. Gut reaction to it is that no club will do that unless they're forced to by participation or licensing.
Exactly.
And I can understand why, because there are so many costs and so many outgoings to run even a club that's amateur or a club that's paying expenses or semi-professional, right the way up to professional, doesn't really matter. The costs are huge. So any bit of income really. It's hard to ring fence any income within the league. I mean, this is a conversation we used to have back in Cork City a lot about ring fencing transfer fees from the academy, to go back into the academy and produce the next players and to increase your possibility of being a club that consistently produce talent. It's a great idea. I think there's value in looking at involving colleges, involving people who have an interest in it. But really, for the foreseeable future, I can only see LOI TV at each club being supported by volunteers, which is effectively what's happening now. And some clubs are very lucky that the quality of the volunteers they have, like Cork City's one, Joe Seward has got a huge amount of broadcasting experience, and that comes across from his commentating. You have someone then like Jason Shanahan at Limerick who knows the game inside out, comes across very well when he's commentating, but you're going to be reliant on volunteers, really. Great idea. I just can't see clubs implementing it unless they're forced to.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think clubs would go for it in any way, shape, or form. The other thing that kind of popped up was, and you've mentioned it there, Joe Seward, Jason Shanahan, Ron at DLR, Jess at Sligo. They're all on their own. There's no co-commentary, and I was in Turner's Cross yesterday, obviously the Cork City game. I met Tony, who does the Bows commentary. He was down for the game. And he was just saying that even simple things like getting a drink of water can be very, very difficult when you don't have a co-commentator. And I was thinking about it, and Eileen, we saw Eve Dawson and Jodie Griffin yesterday doing the Galway commentary on their game against Peamount. We've seen at Cork City, Shauna McCarthy has done co-commentary, Ciara Mack's done co-commentary, Jessie Mendes has done co-commentary. So is there an opportunity for clubs to involve players who are not in a matchday squad, be it through suspension, be it through injury, be it through just not being in the matchday squad, and use them in other ways, as in make them co-commentators and see how that opportunity develops for players?
Yeah, I think so. And like you're going to see, like, especially, look, I know Limerick did it as well. I think Shauna Pearson used to do an awful lot with Jason last season when she was injured. I think that makes a lot of sense because, look, you could see people, especially, look, younger players are all very social media savvy. They're well aware of how to talk and things like that. I think with Galway, it was funny today or yesterday's game, like the two of them together, and they'd kind of half mute their mics because they were giggling half the time. But other times it was really good because it's just so honest, like, and it was interesting. But I suppose it is important to put them in there, I think, with somebody, as you said, somebody like Tony or Jason, but like, it's definitely an opportunity because there's big opportunities for former players in media. Like I have friends in the rugby world who've made have a lot of joy working in the media, and you could see it with like the likes of Karen Duggan or Anya O'Gorman. So like, why not give people a platform if it's something that they're interested in getting involved in a league that they're all going to know so well. And that's the thing. And like, for me, I think as much as like somebody like Joe at City, like, and I go to most of the City women's games, I very rarely see the women's stream, but like the Cork City stream itself is terrible. You speak about it on the other pod. Some of the streams are not a very good quality stream. I think what should be done with LOI TV is you take the likes of Athlone and Wexford, even Kerry, like, to do an incredible job in the first division, and you say this is the standard that you need to be at, like. And for clubs then to be able to churn something out on a Friday night, if you're a Premier Division men's club and you are able to put a really good product in League of Ireland TV, it should be the same on a Saturday. To be fair to Cork City, their stream is terrible on a Friday and the stream is terrible on a Saturday. It's just the way Turner's Cross is. I think the camera is a bit high. It's nothing to do with commentators, not at all. I think the commentators are very good. The actual physical stream is poor in a lot of League of Ireland grounds. I think that's something that definitely should need to be improved. And I said, I think there are clubs out there who set a really high standard for it. And there's some clubs that do it really well for when their men's team are playing on a Friday night and not so well on a Saturday. And to me, that's a bit of a concern.
Yeah, I've said this before and I'll say it again. To me, the FAI should be contracting Quinn AV, who do Athlone streams, and sending them into every club in the country, every ground in the country, paying them whatever it is, and saying, right, you just do the streams there, and let's have one contractor do the streams in every ground and set a standard, a minimum base, which Quinn AV, I have no doubt, would achieve pretty quickly. Are we comfortable, so guys, in saying that Eve Dawson and Jodie Griffin are better players than they are commentators at the moment?
But look, there's I think the ceiling is high, girls. I enjoyed it in moments, and it gave me a good laugh at times. And the complete lack of bias when Galway scored was particularly good.
I tell you who will be delighted is whoever puts together the clips that are, just the video clips of the goals, because their reaction to the goals was just so big, for want of a better term. It'll make the clips, like, and to be like, there was other things as well that were, like, when they were talking about Peamount players, and you can hear the admiration, like, for something that Dolan does, and there was a little throwaway comment like, oh, she's got great feet, she's really good, isn't she? And it always was like kind of sitting next to two players on the bench, which was lovely at times. But like, either one of them with a commentator beside them would have been fantastic. Like, that kind of is Eileen's point. It's a tough gig, but that's how you bring him in. And there's look, I actually, funny enough, I spoke to Shauna Pearson during the week, and she loved that experience with Jason when she was doing it up in Treaty. And she got to the stage that one day when Jason was off, she did it herself, and she was talking about pulling together the notes and the stats. So there's players there as well that have a real interest in it, and it's an opportunity for them. Like, so I guess it's making all those links.
Well, there we go. Cork City would pretend they're not listening, but we all know they are. So, guys, Shauna Pearson, your new signing, into the box next to Joe Seward, and you're home and host.
She'll have to
Plenty of
tone down the
experience
Limerick
already.
accent a small bit, though. Okay, just tone down the Limerick accent. You're
Yeah.
Cork now, Shauna.
She's not relinquishing the place in the squad to go up to the box. I'll tell you that much. Not a hope.
Well, that's true too. That is true too. Rarely do this, guys, but I'm going to dip into the mailbox early. I'm not playing the jingle or anything else because we'll hold that for later on. But there is a question in the mailbox from the CCFC plumber that says Decky was apparently very animated with Howie after the game. What's happening there? So I feel like I should explain this. I don't think I was very animated. I mean, maybe it's onlookers that look that way, but in my head, I wasn't overly animated. If people think that was me very animated, then they haven't seen me very animated. That's probably the best explanation I could give for that. I was waiting for Ken Kiernan to come out to do his interview, which he had agreed to do after the game very kindly. And we'll hear from that. We'll hear some of that later on. But so Ken arrived out, and just as kind of Aaron Howie was passing by, and Ken said, "I'm not going outside to do this interview." And I looked at Aaron, who was the Cork City media officer, and Aaron looked back at me and said, "Unfortunately, you're going to have to. I can't allow it to happen in here." And Ken let Cork City know and let Aaron know that he wasn't happy. He thought it was, not the way things should be done, which is fair enough. And I kind of wasn't really involved in it. And then it was said that Cork City's understanding from the FAI was that we are not accredited media. And that's why it had to be done outside. And that's where I became somewhat animated, because obviously we're not accredited because one person in Cork City spent so long haranguing the FAI to take our accreditation off us, that the FAI eventually caved and did take it off us. So when I was having the not accredited stuff kind of thrown back out there, that did get me a little bit. And look, I get on well with Aaron. We are on different sides of a very fragile relationship is the wrong word, but very fragile, whatever it is that Toe Tap and Cork City have. And, I don't think Aaron wanted to be having the conversation. I didn't want to be having the conversation. Ken Kiernan didn't want to be having the conversation. There's one way that nobody needs to have the conversation, and that's for, the whole situation to be resolved. But that was fundamentally why people may have thought I was agitated. When I hear the non-accredited stuff thrown out there, it gets my back up, because we were accredited, I was accredited, and the FAI took it off us at the insistence of one man at Cork City Football Club. I don't believe, and I have no problem saying it, that any other staff member in Cork City believes that what's going on is the correct way to do things and handle things. But look, that's just my opinion on what I see in front of me. So yeah, to be fair to Ken, I did say to him, if he didn't want to do the interview, I fully understood it as a point of principle, etc. And he was like, no, my issue isn't with you guys, it's with what's happening here. So look, I spoke last week about Shelbourne's complaint. Basically, my understanding was that the answer Shelbourne received was that it was up to me and up to Las Damas to find a suitable location to conduct those interviews, and that there is no onus on Cork City or the FAI to provide any locations or allow interviews to take place within their thing. So my argument was, well, we did find a location and we weren't allowed to do it there. So, I don't know. It's just all going around in circles now. But look, that's what it was. We'll see what happens next, I guess. But as I said, yeah.
Can I just add one small thing to that?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, it kind of popped into my head after. No, I wasn't in Turner's Cross yesterday, unfortunately. But this stuff came up, and I was kind of thinking one thing that stuck in my head, like this is down to one person at Cork City, and I don't want to go into the ifs and ands, but how frustrating must it be for Cork City players and management to walk out of Turner's Cross after winning a cup quarter final, high as kites, and the only people there doing interviews, they can't talk to them, they can't let Cork City fans know what they think about it. It's all done virtually through us. It's ridiculous. But anyway, look, I don't want to hog a league-wide pod with a Cork City issue, but it's one person's issue. Sorry, not a Cork City issue. But it's silly stuff.
Yeah, but it's becoming a league-wide issue because Shelburne complained to the FAI. Ken Kieran complained to Cork City yesterday. Wexford are due down, Sligo are due down, DLR are due down, Galway are due down. All those clubs will speak to us. And, someday it's going to be lashing rain and it's all going to kick off. And again, it will be Aaron Howie or some other staff member who will be caught in the crossfire because the person making the decisions won't be seen or heard of. And it was funny yesterday, I was laughing to myself because an hour after the game finished, I was on the footpath outside Turner's Cross interviewing Ken Kiernan, the man who makes the decision that says I have to do that on the footpath outside Turner's Cross, left the ground at half-time in the cup quarter-final. Had to leave. So, and I'm the problem. Que sera, sera, as I say, very often these days, Anyway, into the underage stuff before I get myself in more trouble. Under 17, Tier 1, Wexford 2, Waterford 5, Shelburne 0, Shamrock Rovers 3, Athlone Town 3, Cork City 2, and Treaty United 2, Bohemians 1. In the Tier 2 North, Drogheda Longford, there was no result on FEI Connect for that game up to about 10 minutes ago. Finn Harps 0, Galway 4, and Mayo 0, Sligo 3. Tier 2 South was DLR Waves 0, Bray Wanderers 2, Kerry 0, CK United 0, and St. Pat's 4, Cove Ramblers 0. Just very quickly on the under 17 one there, John, that Treaty United 2, Bows 1. That's a big result for Treaty.
Yeah, it is, because Treaty have been struggling a little bit underage this year, and it's a great result for them, and a change in fortune. So they're kind of sitting mid-table in Tier 1, which is good, really. Like, they've a win, draw, and loss out of their 3 games so far. They're actually sitting above both Wexford and Cork City, who would have pipped them in the group or the regional phase. So it's a big win for them, because Bows are top of the Tier 1 table, and it's their first loss.
Yeah, exactly. That was what caught my eye. In the under 19 Tier 1, it was Shamrock Rovers 1, Bohemians 3. I saw Lauren McCabe got one of those 3 goals for Bohemians, and Athlone 4, Cork City 0. While in the under 19 Cup, Wexford 2, Shelburne 4. So I think I'm right in saying, John, that means Wexford won't be defending their cup title that their under 27 side won last year.
I think Ellen Malloy was technically still eligible, but
I know.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny because Wexford's under 19s hadn't lost a game in something like 2 years. I know they've lost 2 in 3 weeks. It's an interesting one, but especially and because the senior side wasn't playing this weekend, I thought they might, have a better pick of players who do qualify, but it's a huge win for Shels, because Wexford looked to be, all joking aside, Wexford have a phenomenal under-19s team, so it really is, that was a bit of an upset in my eyes.
Very much so. Guys, we'll hit the match reviews. Cup Day, 3 quarter-finals on the go on Saturday. We'll take them in time order like we normally do. So starting in the UCD Bowl, DLR 1, Sligo Rovers 3. Conor O'Grady has something about him, Eileen?
Absolutely, yeah. And as we said yesterday in Hurner's Cross, I suppose they probably had a result coming to them, didn't they? I'm sure Sligo fans in general will have breathed a big sigh of relief after their men's side the night before.
Yeah,
But no, look, it's not only that they won, but I thought they were very good value for the win. DLR were a little bit disappointing. I kind of felt Sligo were pretty much in control for the whole game. They were excellent. Jodie Lockery was incredible. Paula McGrory was excellent as well. Muireann Devaney. I suppose, look, all the usual people that you would expect to stand out, but they just looked like a side who had a bit of belief about them, and maybe they're looking at the cup differently than, maybe they're approaching it differently than they approach the league. But yeah, I was just very, very impressed with them. Some of the goals are real quality. That goal straight from the corner, will we say she meant to do it? Declan won't, Jan, you will. So we'll say she meant to do it. Go on, Declan.
I think it's a brilliant corner. I think the wind is whipping into that goal as well, and I think I'm not going to say she deliberately meant to put it into the top corner, but
No,
I think
of
she's
course
putting
not,
it in an area that she knows it's going to cause issues, and it's a fantastic in-swinging corner. Now look, keeper should never be beaten. I think Laura Hefner would be tearing her hair out at two of the goals, both the goals from corners, maybe even the first goal. It's just a long clearance. I wonder, was it a deliberate tactic? Because after the goal goes in, you can hear Conor O'Grady saying, that's the run, and I don't know, did he mean it at just like, that's a great run, fair play, or does it mean like, that's the run we've worked on all week? And, I have a feeling it was the second one, just the way he was saying it. But yeah, look, it was my old rule of don't beat yourself, and I kind of felt like DLR did a little bit of that, especially with the 2 goals they conceded from corners.
Yeah, probably. And again, and I think it comes down to with DLR, and I know it's the thing we've seen, I suppose we've probably seen with teams down the bottom half of the table, they're excellent against the teams that are up the top, and then maybe struggling, and the teams in around them maybe where the onus is on them to have more of the football, to go out and really make things happen and take a game to people. I think there's a good few teams, I don't think it's just DLR, I think there's a lot of teams and that really struggle to transition from that, we're not going to have the ball, to now we have the ball. And it's a completely different, I suppose, ball game, for want of a better description. But no, I was just really impressed with Sligo, and you'd hope for them that they can kind of kick on. Now look, their next game is against Galway, so that's going to be hard, but look, that they can, I suppose, for a team that struggled, and he made very few subs, so that leads me to believe, again, the depth isn't in that squad. I think they probably have people that are on the bench and they're probably not ready for senior football. They're probably underage players, and I think they're going to be slow to put them in, which is the correct thing to do. But in a team that's probably had to put those players in a lot of times this season, it's great to see them get a bit of reward, because it's tough, and it's Sligo, so no matter, there's no close game, you're travelling long trips every second week, and it's hard to just keep on plugging away. So a cup run is said exactly, I think, what the doctor ordered up there, and I said, look, yeah, hopefully that they can kind of use it to translate into the league. I don't think Sligo have ever been poor this season, that's the thing. I just think maybe they've struggled going forward at times, and have kind of been very, very leaky at the back, but they were solid out there yesterday, to be fair to them.
John, 2 quick questions for you. 35th minute, obviously Sligo get that second goal, and almost straight from the kickoff, DLR get a goal back. At that stage, did you expect DLR to push on?
I thought they were going to up it a little bit. I thought they started okay. And I agree, Laura Hefner really pulling her hair out. But I thought the things I took away from it were Sligo's back four for a team that have conceded so much this year and have been under such pressure. I thought they were outstanding. They were just so organised. Structure was there. They never panicked. And look, the other thing is that first goal. I think they've worked on that, and I think it's when Jess Gleeson attacks whoever's sitting behind the attackers. And so Jess comes out, and no one from Sligo drops back. They leave Jess there, and it actually, when the ball is played over the top, it's 3-on-3, and I think it absolutely was from the training ground, and they were backing each other in three. They, wherever that ball landed, it was 2 straight 1-on-1 duels, and it was I thought it was clever. Again, Laura would be very disappointed with the 2 goals from the corners, though. I think more so the second one, because it's not a good delivery, and they've had a number of opportunities to clear it, and players are kind of following the ball rather than seeing what's around them. But the finish again, reminiscent of Karen Duggan against, I think it was Athlone a few weeks ago, where you're at the back post, but you still have to make the space to get the shot away. But look, it was a really best I've seen Sligo play this year, actually. It bodes well for them. But again, I kind of, to Eileen's point, they need that 11 to be playing week in, week out, really, and playing to those levels week in, week out to kind of get any bump on the season. Like they'll want Cork City in the draw. Every team will want them in the next round of the cup. So that's kind of the way it is.
Yeah, regular listeners to the pod will know from week 1 that DLR were going to have an issue defending corners this season. Just a simple reminder.
How come you didn't ask Laura about it last week?
Yeah.
I never thought of it. I never thought of it. I didn't. I genuinely didn't. I can't remember all the brilliant things I say in this podcast to bring them up every time I meet somebody. The other question I was going to ask you, John, was the fact that Conor O'Grady has taken this Sligo Rovers side during Tommy Hewitt's suspension. Does that indicate that Tommy Hewitt actually doesn't have an assistant manager as part of his staff? And if so, is it an indication of how big a struggle Tommy has to deal with just the whole Sligo setup at the moment?
I think it probably means that Tommy doesn't have an assistant who has the badges to coach on the sideline. Or to coach from the sideline. I'm sure Conor probably has the required badges. I'm assuming that's why Conor was on the sideline, because I had a look on FAI Connect after the game, because we had this discussion in the chat, and there were other people on the bench there with Conor. So I do think Tommy has a team around him, but I think licensing might have required a coach with a certain level of badge on the sideline. I don't know that, but that's kind of what my assumption is. But I do think it is a sign, possibly a knock on from that Tommy's probably dealing with coaches that have less experience and gone through less levels of qualification than he himself has, which could be a challenge.
Okay, interesting. We'll move on to Treaty and Athlone. Treaty 1, Athlone 2. Eileen, another game that we'll say Treaty were in and just couldn't get the result to go their way, and it's almost kind of becoming a tough season for them now all of a sudden.
Very much, and they were excellent yesterday. They weren't good the week before, and they won. I can't really wrap my head around it, to be honest, but they were excellent. Both ends of the pitch, but I think it's around 60 minutes, and Danielle Steer, and she's very, very good, and she gets in great positions, but her finishing at times, she had one header and you have to score it. It's at 1-1, and then a few minutes later it's 2-1, and it's just it's those very small margins. It's where they're being caught. But again, they were brilliant. Katie Lawley was absolutely incredible yesterday for them. She's just such a live wire, and she just makes so many things happen for them all the time. The centre half, I know she'd one or two maybe dodgy moments, McCleary, but she was excellent in Sligo, and she was really, really good again. And she was up there against Tabby, and she's such a handful. You just kind of don't know what she's going to do. She'll come short for the ball. She'll go in behind. She's so physical, and she really knew she was in a game. But I thought she dealt with everything really well. But to be fair to Athlone, I think while they've had the results the last few weeks, look, it goes without saying, I think mentally it's been a really, really tough few weeks for them. So I think for them it was just about going out and digging it out, and they do that, and they really go to war for each other on the pitch, and you could see that. But I kind of thought there was one or two times in the game where you could see the last few weeks is on their mind, because there's tackles that are going in that aren't necessarily bad tackles, and they're all so reactive to it. They're all so reactive to the referee. Look, and it is a pure protection of each other, but not every tackle, it's a contact sport, and I just thought that stood out to me. They were just very reactive, and I understand why they are. But that's something that I think for them, for the rest of the season, that they're going to have to try to park a little bit, because they're going to run into trouble. They're going to run into card trouble, because in this league, referees won't give cards for tackles, But like, if you even look at the referee sideways to question anything, he will absolutely give you a card, or she will absolutely give you a card. So you don't want to suddenly rack up a load of cards for mouthing. Do you know what I mean? Because as I said,
Yeah.
and I know why they are reactive to it, but look, it could just be that game. But a free kick to win the game was brilliant. It probably shouldn't go in. See, I think, Declan, you're making me harsh, are you? At the
It
start of
can't
the
go
season,
in.
now I'd been
It
like, that was
can't go in.
unreal. I would have said that was unreal. What was the keeper supposed to do? And now I'm like, the keeper should have saved it. You've changed me, Declan. I'm a changed woman.
I've
But like,
changed the country.
from Brown,
I've changed the league.
it's an excellent effort for her. But yeah, I think Irwin will feel she should have done better to keep it out. And I think, like, if you're treating, it's just got to be hard, because it said you kind of you feel you're doing everything right, and they are, like, they're getting everything right, like, to match up against different sides tactically. And it's just, and they play so well. They don't play poorly, like, they play well. But as I said, as you've told me, Declan, it's a results business, not performance business. And yeah, it is become a tough season for them. A cup run, I think, always makes things look a bit better if you are kind of struggling a bit down that end of the table. So that would have helped them. But I still think if they can keep that squad together, and that's the big thing for Treaty. I was thinking of it this morning, like, with the amount of imports they have, like, if they stick around, I think they could be a massive force next season. But it's how many of them will stick around, I suppose, is the big question there. But I think, like, if it's just, there's a lot of changing there every week, and there's been players come in because players have left in the summer window. But if you could actually just establish it and keep it together for a year or two, your solid base of a squad, I do think they could really be a big force, because they're not a million miles off. Like,
It's true. No, it is true. John, on the first two goals, Kelly Brennan has a massive role in both goals. Obviously, she puts in a brilliant cross from the right-hand side for Brenda Tabby to score with a very, very good header. And then she has an OG, which is one of those OGs that is so ridiculously harsh on the player involved. It feels almost unfair to describe it as an OG. It's a goal-saving tackle. If it goes 6 inches the other way and it goes wide of the post, we're here talking about what a brilliant tackle, goal-saving Katie Lawley is bound to score. And it doesn't. It goes the wrong side of the post and it goes in. But it's one of those you shrug your shoulders, just go and say, look, Katie Lawley's going to score anyway. You did the absolute best you could to prevent it, made a great tackle, and the ball just ended up in the net.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. Katie Lawley probably let it, hang up in the air a little bit longer than she needed to, or than she was hoping it would. She probably hoped it would drop a little bit faster. But in that situation, you have to put your foot in there. Because like you said, if that comes off at a tiny different angle off her foot, she's put it out for a corner. She was excellent the whole game, to be honest. One of Athlon's genuine standout players. But I think Eileen has summed up the game there perfectly. I thought Treaty were probably the better team overall. I think with losing Casey Howe to transfer and Chloe Singleton's injury, I think they've got, Kieran and the team are also trying to adapt to a kind of almost a new way to play. I think Tab is a very different focal point for their attacks, and that's going to get time for them, or that's going to take time for them to get used to. Roisin Malloy and Maddie Gibson were excellent, but they're it's almost now having to get to the end line, put balls in for Tabby, which is a slightly different. It's not the same, running and link up play that they might have had, even a month ago. But look, I thought Treaty were outstanding. I thought they were the better team. That header that Eileen referenced, actually, every point she touched, I had the same notes written down. It was the 68th minute, and she has to score that. Like, she was absolutely sensational, and herself and Katie Lawley are turning into a real troublesome two up front. But that there really was the winning of the game, And look, Katie Irwin as well, she'll know herself. Her hands went straight to her head after that goal went in. It was a tough one, and she's a young keeper. She'll bounce back from it, but yeah, it's again. Look, it's like we're on repeat. Treaty again, absolutely brilliant, but it's I don't know. Dom Foley must be hoping that they play badly and win occasionally, because the whole playing well and losing must be sickening him, because they were brilliant. They're a fantastic team to watch. But yeah, it was a strange game. Athlone got away with it a little, but they're in the semi-final draw now, and they'll power on.
Yeah. Eileen, very quickly, finally, is Kellyanne Brown the player to step up in the absence of Chloe Singleton?
She's certainly put her hand up the last few weeks, but that's what I think we've said about this about Athlone all season. There's always somebody new to put their hand up. There's always someone new will put, like, there's always someone willing. If Maddie Gibson's not doing it, Roisin Malloy will step up. If they say Chloe's out, Kerry Ann will stand up. If she's not doing it, Laurie will step up. One of the defenders, Rossman, will come in, Brennan will come in. They just have a squad. Like, even Ryan will come off the bench and do something. Tabby is said proving to be just, and I don't think anybody has figured out how to defend against her at the moment. And that'll take a while as well. So, like, at the moment, I think Brown is their form player. And if you look at Athlone through the season, they have a player who's always kind of there or thereabouts and like absolutely kind of head and tails above everyone. And as soon as that player kind of comes back down, another one just steps up. And I think that's probably why they've been so successful. But like, her dead ball is excellent. And I just think her overall play, she started the season brilliantly for them as well. Kind of went a little bit off the boil and obviously now is hitting the heights again. So she's a really good player to watch.
Okay, we'll leave that one there and we'll head to Turner's Cross, where Cork City beat Bohemians 2-1 after extra time. If everybody listening just, wants to go away, put on the popcorn, get out the sleeping bags, whatever it is, we might be here for a while doing this one, because I was not going to say there was nothing happening in the first 90 minutes. It was a very enjoyable game. It was tactically on edge. It was, back and forth. And then extra time, it just all kicked off. And do you know what? I'd start with some of Ken Kiernan's interview, because he wasn't happy with a couple of calls from the referee. So we might play that, and then we can discuss those points that Ken raises, if that's okay with you guys.
Ken, that must be another tough one to take. Yeah, it was a difficult one to take right at the last minute. A couple of situations in the game where we probably need to really look back at. The free that scored, there's a foul that the players created a bit of space for herself. The Cork players created a bit of space for herself, and she's fouled our player, and then it's being missed. Like, then she's obviously recovered and lunged or whatever to get to the ball, which is fair enough. But the first foul is given, and it should have been the other way, and then obviously they scored off the back of it. So it's just really difficult to take. We scored a goal at the end as well. There's one in over the line. The girls are convinced of it. We'll have to look back at it. But it looked like the keeper saved and she's landed and she's very deep from where we were. The girls are convinced. So look, But having said that, it was a great game. I thought our substitutions really impacted the game. I thought our subs, they made us stronger. So look, we couldn't have asked any more of the girls. To be fair, the first half Cork were definitely the dominant team. We tweaked a few things at half time, but just look, really, really tough one to take with those two decisions at the end. And obviously, look, we got a bit heated at the end. You're asking a question and you're getting a response back in not a great way. The players are convinced. You've seen them arguing for it. They didn't let it go. They were convinced that the ball was over the line. So look, the referee, there's the linesman, and then there's the fourth official. I'm not going to hammer anybody, but there was a couple of flash points. There was obviously the goal that we conceded. There was a foul. Our assistant manager spoken to the referee, said he hasn't seen it. If he hasn't seen it, why hasn't the lino seen it? We get a shot near the end, or we get a set piece near the end. Ball's over the line. Girls all see it. Referee's there. Lino's there. Look, listen, they're doing their best. These are big games, and there's big consequences to these games or these decisions.
There are big consequences to these decisions. Please discuss, my two pundit friends.
I'll go first. I don't see the foul that Ken's talking to. I think Chloe Atkinson puts her hands up to give herself a bit of space, but I don't think there's a foul. I don't think that is ever given in any game. And if that's the other side of the pitch and it's given against Ken, he's probably roaring at the ref for it being given. To be honest, the goal, like I know the 2 year in Turner's Cross, I was watching the game live on the stream. Joe Seward, when the ball loops in over Una's head, it looks to me like she goes backwards, catches it, falls on the line. But Joe Seward live on commentary goes, he like roars out the ball's in or and that's in or something like that. And then there's complete confusion, like on his part, because the ref walks into the box. The Bohs players are all arguing. Una just gets up and goes to the edge of the box and kicks it out. It's impossible to tell from the stream whether it was over the line or not. But it did look very, very close. It looked like Una goes back behind the line, catches the ball, comes down on the line. Impossible to tell whether the whole ball was behind the line when she caught it. But what I would say was, from a Cork City point of view, to have a keeper pull that out of the air when it's gone over her, and under that pressure, make sure that wherever she caught the ball, that she's lying on the ball on the right side of the goal line. It was incredible. But yeah, I will say, in a general point, outside those, as a City fan, I'd be very biased. And I did think City got the rub of the green on an awful lot of decisions. Not so much those game-changing ones, but there was a couple of things where you're looking at and you're kind of going, we've gotten away with one there, or a foul that we've gotten was kind of soft, So I can understand Ken's overall frustrations, but I wouldn't agree with him on the lead up to our winner. That would be my take on it.
Sure, Eileen, Stephen Bradley was never going to ref the game any other way, only screw Bohs over.
He was determined to get Bohs out of a cup, Declan. Like, what can we say? No, look, I thought, I think the one on the goal line, like where me and you were sitting in the shed, they had the tunnel out for some reason. It was impossible to see where it was. I didn't have a clue. Now I spoke to someone who was over on the other side of the tunnel who'd have a better view, who was fairly adamant. The reality is we don't know. That's the long and the short of it. The Cork City players I spoke to said it absolutely did not. And the Bohs players I spoke to said it absolutely did. And that's, of course, the way. And look, we don't have goal line technology, so it is what it is. And it wasn't given as a goal. So to John's point, it was an incredible save from Una. Again, I don't see the foul in the lead up to our goal. What I said to you, Declan, was I was impressed that he gave the free to us because it was a free. But Chloe didn't go down. And my thing is, a lot of the time players don't get the correct decisions if they try to stay on their feet. They're essentially punished for being honest. And she was, and it was a foul. And I think there was probably decisions on both sides. I saw an interview with Danny, and he thought there was a handball in the first half. Now, it's not a handball. Her hand is by her side.
No.
I don't think that's a handball. Now, there was another one that I haven't seen back, and it definitely was a handball. I think it was Lisa Murphy, and she had two hands up, and I think she walked away from it having a great laugh because she knew she'd got away with one. So I suppose it's kind of swings and roundabouts a little bit. I know we were laughing, Declan, at half time because obviously Danny was a bit agitated over, I think, a couple of bookings that City had got and felt that Bohs had got away with similar tackles. So he goes over to the referee for a chat, and next thing Ken Kiernan is about 5 steps behind him over. So the two of them were walking in there like two security with the referee bringing them in to save him from you. But yeah, I suppose on the game, 90 minutes, there probably wasn't a whole pile happen. I thought defensively, the two sides were absolutely incredible. And it was just two sides. I'd say both sets of players are in agony today because they kicked each other for 90 minutes. There were two sides who really, really wanted it. You couldn't have questioned that. And again, because I definitely think this podcast is changing me, I felt so sorry for Bohs in the manner which they lost it. It's just, as happy as I was that City won it, I was just, when I saw some of the Bohs faces afterwards, I was heartbroken from them. So I must be losing the plot. But as a Cork City fan, that's the best way to win a game, isn't it? It's not good for the heart, but it's an incredible way to win a match. Go on.
No, I was just going to say it is last minute. I mean, we had Rory Keaton in Cove the night before, absolutely disgustingly shit performance again. But you win it in the 89th minute or 90th minute or whatever it was, and you forget about the performance. And yesterday I just thought was a game between two sides that there is, you often say it there's nothing between these sides, but there is literally nothing between Cork City and Bohs this year. And it was a great advert for the league, a great advert for the cup. I somehow felt myself feeling sorry for Bohs. If you said that to me 5 years ago, I'd have just laughed at you, in any way, shape or form. But yeah, this podcast is thing. And look, in fairness to Ken, he came out and he fronted up and he did the interview with me, and he was, and we'll hear a bit more of that there now in a few minutes. But like, he was very gracious and very magnanimous in stating that Cork City were definitely the better side in the first half. And so look, it's one of those things. I don't think the ball was over the line. I felt at the time that Una, even though she fell behind the line, her two hands were extended at all times, which kind of kept the ball in front of the line. The other thing that struck me watching it back today was Katie Malone went off injured as Bose set up for that free kick. And I can't help but wonder, did that just upset their defensive shape and whatnot? And they also went to sleep a little bit. They were in no way prepared for a short free kick. I think there was just a presumption that the ball was going to be crossed into the box as the best way to score a goal. And they were never tuned in and never turned on to the possibility of a short free kick. And once it happened, they were a little bit dead in the water because, as I said, they weren't set up for it. They weren't thinking for it. And it caught them badly. And I think Katie Malone going off injured probably plays into that as well. And look, finally, we should mention the two goals, Eileen. Orla O'Mahony's goal for Cork City that opened the scoring was an unbelievable strike. And then Katie Malone's equaliser for Bose is one of those goals that's, Ken will say it now in a minute when I play the interview, it's off the training ground, it's something they've worked on. But when you see it come to fruition and the finish is just top class.
Yeah, and like he says, we work on that in the training ground all the time. But you can't work on that on the training ground unless you have a striker as good as Katie Malone. And I think we've spoke about her a few times this season. Like when she's fit, like I do think she's probably the one that can hit really big numbers, because I think she's a really natural striker, which is not something that's quite rare now. I think City really limited Bose out wide, and it's funny, it was the one time that they did manage to get it, look, that they scored. Yeah. So we could see that they're just so effective in that way. But yeah, Orla's strike it's incredible. Like as soon as we were behind it, like as soon as it hits her boot, like you knew it was in. And I was laughing because I saw obviously, like Cork City have graphics, like where their players have a picture of them celebrating for every player who scores. And when they were doing them, I saw Aaron Howie had written to Orla when they were doing them at the start of the season. She said, "You don't need one of me celebrating. Sure, I'll never score." And she goes and does that. So like, now Orla, like you have to mention her because I think she hasn't trained in like 2 weeks, and we spoke about how big a miss she was against Shelburne, and like, she was incredible. She covered, like, for someone who's been injured and hasn't trained, like, I was really impressed. I was impressed with both sides fitness wise, and like the other person I have to mention is like Lisa Murphy, because I think at the end of the game, like, she barely had one leg. Like, she was absolutely crippled. I said you should probably take her off, but I'd say she wouldn't take that well, and she was left on. I mean, it's her header that nearly beats Una, like, so I just have to give a mention to her. I thought, like, defensively the two sides were incredible, and it was just, as you said, it's a brilliant advertisement for the cup, for the league, and like, it was just one of those games that it was only that it was Bose. Like, it's hard to see anybody lose it, isn't it? Like, it's not, and it's, I suppose, yeah, maybe because we're getting to know the players a little bit, we're getting a bit softer, but yeah, it was a tough one, I think, for them.
Yeah. John, before I come to you, let's hear from Ken on the game. I started off by asking him if Cork City's tactical setup and the way Danny set us up had maybe caught him off guard a little bit.
Yeah, nothing about Cork City's catching me off guard this year. They're a very, very good side. They've got, extremely good players all over the park. Wonderful support, great staff around them. But look, we probably just didn't match them in certain areas in that first half. We were happy. We went in, we spoke about it at half time, but look, they're a really good side. There's international players that have played in Colleen Kendi. She's a top attacker. They're comfortable on the ball. They're a very, very good side. Like,
they took the lead through an Orla O'Mahony screamer, which that's the third time this year that Cork City scored screamers against you guys. They kept themselves in the game, and possibly the first time that she genuinely got the ball wide all day, got a genuine good ball into the box. Katie Malone with an absolutely stunning finish to put you back in it. At that point, did you feel like the momentum was with you?
Yeah, we thought, like, look, we felt the momentum was with us probably a little bit before that. But that's a training ground move. Like, that's something that we work on repetitively. Probably the only disappointing thing is we didn't get that switch of play, and we're looking to play those kind of, we call them like a blind pass. So ball comes in and they're playing like a disguised pass out to the opposite side of the pitch, and it just didn't happen enough. We just didn't isolate. We didn't isolate the fullbacks on the opposite side of the pitch enough in the game, and that like, credit to Cork City. They worked their socks off, and both teams worked really, really hard. The only thing I'm have an issue with is, 2 moments in the game where, we feel that, there was decisions that probably should have been gone the other way,
What about the rest of the season, Ken? Is it just a matter of, I don't want to say it's just a matter of playing it out, but does it kind of feel like that at the moment too?
No, absolutely not. Like, we've come in this season, I spoke about it earlier in the week. We've 13 new players. Probably the last couple of games it's come together well for us. Like, today the reaction today after going a goal down, as you said, that's a team. Like, they've gone right to the end. That's how teams operate. Look, we couldn't be prouder of the girls today, their efforts, resilience that they've shown all season. And I think I don't think any team is going to be looking forward to playing us for the rest of the season, and we'll have I'm sure we'll have a part to play on how this league is determined as well.
Absolutely. Look, finally, looking beyond this season, the building blocks are clearly there. You've done a brilliant job. Very good players. What do Bohemians need to do next? And what are the next steps to ensure that you're challenging for titles over the next 2 or 3 years?
We'll continue to do what we're doing. Recruitment is always a huge part of these scenarios, and trusting in developing the youth and the young players in the club. You see by the end of the pit, obviously Savannah's come off. Leah Riley's on, Eva Fleming, Savannah Kane. You go down, like, then you have to go on Sarah, Orla. Like, these girls are all under 19 years of age, like 19, 18, 17 years of age. So we'll just continue to do that. We'll continue to trust in the young players and continue to build that kind of culture and the environment and the identity now that is quite evident. But like that, look, the style of play, you have to suit the players that are in your squad. Like, I'm looking at teams that are probably forcing a style of play on, they're forcing their ideal style of play. And look, that's not knocking anyone. I'm not knocking anyone. It's just what I see. You have to suit the players that you have, and what's tactically desirable has to be technically achievable, So look, having said all that, we look forward to next week, and we look forward to the remainder of the season.
Thanks a bit for your time. Hope it doesn't take too long to get over to each of the...
Oh, and listen, and thanks to you and thanks to your team for everything you're doing throughout the season, because it's a wonderful job you're doing.
Appreciate it. I had to leave in the last 20 seconds there where my microphone didn't work properly, because otherwise nobody would have heard Ken saying nice things about us, and I didn't want to cut that out, John, what's tactically desirable has to be technically achievable. Just put it on my gravestone, will you, please? I don't know if that's a Ken Kieran original or if he's taken it from somewhere else. It's the first time I've heard it. And I just think it's the greatest football quote I may have ever heard from anybody. So if it's a Kieran original, then hats off.
Yeah, no, I like even listened back to the piece there. No, I hadn't heard that section of it before. That's a cracking line, and it sums up so much, about having like some people say about having players fit systems other than systems and fitting the players you have. That's basically what he's saying, and he's shown that like he's just done such a good job with the players at his disposal. I mean, we've seen a lot of those players at other clubs. Some of them, at other clubs with varying levels of success, where, like you said, over the last few weeks, last few months, they've been just kicking on. He's doing a fantastic job there. Absolutely fantastic. I do have one small bugbear. I didn't get to see Katie Malone's fantastic strike, and I don't think anybody else did, because the Cork City stream froze right as it was happening. And
And I went back to watch it this morning and I was like, oh, no way. I hope someone had a tactical camera because the finish really was incredible. Like,
yeah. So I actually, when I went back to watch it this morning, because you were raving about it, I thought, okay, maybe it was just a buffer on the stream on my end. No, the camera froze at the time, so the goal isn't on the LOI TV stream. So which is a pity because
someone probably had a tactics camera, surely, because
I'd say
it's definitely worth getting out there. Like,
but no, and that's kind of why I raised it, because I'm sure Bohs or City have had a different camera there watching the game, even a different angle. But because when the two of you were raving about it, I was kind of going, crap, missed the bloody goal, like. But going back to Ken, like it sounds like it was peak Kiernan ball, and the one time they got behind us, he's done a fantastic job, and he's just like from what he said there in that little snippet in that piece of the interview, like balls of a diamond there. His head is well screwed on, and look, we know the job he had done. Assisting Kieran at loan. We know the job he'd done at Shels underage for so many years. He's a top coach, and Bohs are very lucky to have him.
I'm so annoyed because when I went back to watch the game, I was going through so much stuff today. I just watched the last, our winning goal, the second goal, and the lead up to that, because that was what Ken had mentioned. I cannot believe that this shit has happened again. Like, genuinely can't.
What's even better is the lead up to our goal. The camera lags as well, or to Orla's goal. It only just comes back as she's hitting the ball. It's so close to missing that as well. Like, and I missed that in real time because I was trying to refresh the feed. So, but look, it is what it is. I got to see Orla's anyway, which was a cracker. I've started Decky off now, and we're a significant amount of time into it.
I don't know. I'm just going to say no.
I'm just going to say, it's actually where a lack of replays also kicks in, because if there's replays there, if the stream has missed a goal, there's every chance that the replay will be shown at a time when the stream is if it freezes like that and you miss the goal, then a replay 30 seconds later is going to be shown and people can see it anyway. It's just
it's not, because when I came in home last night, I was saying it to Nicole. I was like, geez, the goals were incredible, and I was like, why don't they have the Bohs one up? And it was only when I was watching it back then today, I was like,
my good God, above tonight. Right, okay. Well, look, trust everybody listening. Trust us. Katie Malone got an absolute belter of a finish. It's a cracking finish. You'd have to take my word.
I heard she just scuffed it.
Yeah.
She didn't even mean it.
Jason Shanahan said she scuffed it. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my word, yes. Katie McCabe is still looking for his head, is she not? Unfortunately, I believe that Savannah Kane is out for the rest of the season with a ligament injury. So we would just like to wish her the very best in her recovery, and we hope to see her back fit and playing next season. Yeah, I was going to do some more stuff on Kieran and Bob, but I think we've probably covered it enough now for the moment. So we shall park it there. While all that was happening, Eileen, Galway were putting themselves bang back smack in the middle of the title race by beating Peamount 3-1 in Eamon DC Park. Julianne Russell got 2. Emma Doherty opened her account. Not a good day, or not a good opening moment for Nia Farley, who was badly caught out for the first goal.
Yeah, look, she was put under, there was an awful lot of pressure. They were pressing very high, and look, I suppose if you have somebody like Emma Doherty and Julianne and just that raw pace and work rate and fitness levels that they have, like it is intense pressing, like, and instead they had a lot of joy from it. But like Galway were brilliant, like they were back to their kind of brilliant best that we saw early on in the season. I suppose we alluded that could they use, had they won the All-Ireland Cup, could they use that to kick on? And it's certainly on the basis of that game, because Peamount, aside from that little error, and again, I think that's very good play from Galway, more than, and we'll give Galway the credit more than give out about Peamount. I thought Peamount were actually quite good, both ends of the pitch, but like Julianne Russell just had one of those days where she was pretty much unplayable, to be honest. Just everything she kind of touched was positive, and I think you could see Emma Doherty really thriving playing alongside her. Her movement, and like Emma Doherty's a really young player, and we kind of maybe forget that because she's been around now for a couple of years. But like I'd say she's only 19 or 20 still, so like she is really high heights that I think she could hit. And playing with somebody like Julianne alongside her is going to be probably a terrifying prospect for the rest of the league, for the remainder of the season and for next year. But no, they were brilliant. Obviously, whatever celebrations they did last week were parked because, as I said, they were on it from very, very early. There wasn't any kind of hangover from that. Piedmont, yeah, like I said, Piedmont, I thought they were good. I just think they were just outbeaten by a better side. I don't think they did a whole pile wrong. Lucy McCartan came back from injury. I think if Lucy can stay fit for Piedmont, she'll be massive because she's brilliant in that kind of sixth role, and it frees up Karen to maybe get forward a little bit more, and it frees up Jess to do the same as opposed to one of them having to sit in. But it's I suppose Lucy's had a really tough time with injury. Really, really tough time. But like she was one of the standout players in the league, kind of go back like 18, 19, 20. So like it would be brilliant for Piedmont, I think, if she could get back playing. But yeah, no, just very, very impressed with Galway. All over the pitch. The keeper, again, like Jess Berlin, she made 2 incredible saves when called upon. Really, really good saves. And I think the second one was late enough on in the game. She hadn't had a whole pile to do in about the previous 30 minutes. And it's about that concentration again, like, and it's just an excellent stop. To be fair to Piedmont, they keep plugging away. And I think the additions they've made now are kind of settling in. Look, I know it's Niamh is caught with that press, but again, it's match fitness, and she's going to have to make those mistakes, unfortunately, because she's come into players who are kind of 3/4 way through their season, and she hasn't probably kicked a ball realistically in a match since, say, last April, apart from the last few games. So like it's going to be towards the end of September, even like probably next season realistically by the time we see the best of her. But like that doesn't make her any less of a very, very good addition. But I think what stood out to me with Piedmont is with the additions they've made, like they were able to make like subs that can change a game. I know at the weekend they didn't, because as I said, I just thought they were up against a better side. But again, thinking of Champions League in a few weeks, they're not going with just 11 players now. They're going with a strong squad. And I think they have enough leaders in that dressing room and in that squad that will be able to say, yeah, look, maybe the season hasn't gone our way, but we know what we're capable of. And look what we did last year. And I think they're going to go over and give a really good show of themselves, because as I said, I think the leadership that they have in that dressing room will shine through.
You probably answered the question already, to be fair, but I was going to ask you, the Niamh Farley situation, are they almost forced to keep playing, or even though maybe she's not performing to the level required, that they're forced to keep playing her so that she's prepared for that Champions League fit, that she's back to match fitness and clued in for that Champions League games, and is kind of that the end goal for them now at this stage?
Yeah, it has to be, obviously, like they're out of the cup, so I think they have to take the hit. They don't really, like, obviously, look, they want to do well for themselves in the league and they want to finish high up the table as possible, but you have to get Niamh the game time, because we all know how good a player she is. There's nobody doubting that. It's just pure match sharpness. They're just little things that will tweak as she gets that. And even like her last season in England, she probably didn't play a whole pile. So it's about being able to play the game a week, and they'll probably have 2 when they're over there as well. So it's about getting that. And I think for him, it's about getting. For James, it's about getting, I suppose, what he perceives to be his strongest 11, and he definitely sees Niamh in that. And I see why if you ask me to give their strongest 11, she'd probably be in it as well for me. And like, it's not fitness wise, it's just pure match sharpness. And as I said, look, she won't be found wanting once they get over to the Champions League. I don't doubt for a second. And her ability to recover from the errors she makes as well is really good, because she turns around and she's an excellent game again.
John, Galway, 2 feet, fully involved in the toilet, or purple. Into toilet. John, Galway, fully involved in the title race now. If they win, well, they actually technically have 2 games in hand, because their bye week is gone. So they have Treaty at home, I think, on the 5th of September. And actually Cork City winning against Bohs the other night means that Galway will now have to come to Cork midweek. I would imagine if Cork City hadn't qualified, that they would have played that game on the next cup weekend. But now Galway will have to come to Cork midweek, which probably makes things a little bit more difficult for them. But fully ensconced in the title race now, in your opinion?
Yeah. Julianne Russell was amazing, and their work rate was fantastic. And like they when Piedmont were breaking, Galway could get 10 people behind the ball, and then if the ball was even cleared long, you've got someone in Julianne Russell up front that no matter where that ball lands, she's pressing and she's turning defenders and she's winning it on occasion and is giving them a chance to get up the pitch. But I wouldn't be. I think James O'Callaghan's got to look back in the game and he might think that he showed Galway a little bit too much respect in the first half, because I thought sitting off them in that low block didn't, like when they came out in the second half and had a bit of a go at Galway. They did, they pushed Berlin into a couple of really good saves. They put Piedmont under a bit of pressure, and while that always left the chance that they would be punished on the counter, they actually handled Galway quite well the second half. And I think the other thing James Callan's going to be upset about is the referee, because I thought in the lead up to the first goal, there's like from the Piedmont throw, there's a Belitic goes into the Piedmont player with her arm raised into the back of her neck. Now, it's not particularly nasty, but it is a free. And like Piedmont lose the ball in the follow up, and Galway scored a goal. And while Eileen's absolutely right. Galway were the better team. They dominated the play, but I think that there's a couple of moments in that game. There was another one laid on just before Piedmont scored, where I can't remember who was trying to play a pass, but the ball goes into Belitic's stomach in midfield, and it breaks to a Piedmont player, and at that stage they're on the attack, and the ref stops the game to check on Belitic, who's got the ball into the gut now. It wasn't a head injury, and Piedmont players are going, "What are you doing?" And she gives the ball back to Piedmont, but by the time no attention comes on for Belitic, she gets up, she walks back into defence. By the time Piedmont get the ball back, Galway are completely set up defensively again. And if I was a Piedmont player, I'd be going bonkers, to be honest, because I thought there was a couple of instances in that game that maybe didn't affect the outcome, but certainly affected the scoreline. I thought Galway were brilliant, but I don't think Piedmont were that far off them. So I do think they'll be involved. They'll have a say in the title race, Galway, and they absolutely are. Emma Doherty played really, really well, and that's ominous for other teams, because if she and Julianne Russell start clicking like they were, and that press, when you got two players that can press like that, it's unbelievable. Jenna Slattery was excellent, Lindsay McKee was excellent, Kate Thompson was brilliant. Her crossing and her recovery for the second goal, third goal, sorry.
Third goal, yeah.
Yeah, was brilliant. So Galway have all the elements there, but I still think James O'Callaghan's going to come away from that game and the Piedmont players and go, we let that one slip, because I think if they had started the first half like they started the second, they're well capable of playing ball now. I think that could have not necessarily would have been a different result. I know I'm kind of talking around in circles, but I think Piedmont will be disappointed in the initial approach, but also the opportunities they got in that game and some of the decisions that went against them.
Very interesting. We'll keep an eye on what happens. We'll have to keep moving forward, guys. Next week's fixtures begin on Monday night. So depending on when you're listening to this, it may already be over, or if the pod is out early enough tomorrow, there will be a bit of a build-up. But Shamrock Rovers take on Shelburne Monday night, 7:45, Tallaght Stadium. Eileen, it's not ideal, is it?
No, it's stupid. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. I think the reason was something about stadium management. If you don't want a women's game on before the day before your men's team are playing, just move the game to Talca Park. Straightforward enough. Like, I don't see why the whole game has to be moved to a Monday night. You're not, like, everybody's working. People could be back to school, anything like that. Like, it's that time now. You're taking away their recovery because, again, work or school on Tuesday morning. Whereas, like, the reality is they didn't want Shamrock Rovers are playing right now, their men's team, and they didn't want the game on there the day before. I understand the pitch is being used by St. Pat's as well for European games, but Shamrock Rovers are the home tenants. So for me, they should be taking precedent, and the league should be stepping in there as well and saying, well, if you can fulfill the fixture, we'll just spin it around like was done to Cork City a few times this year when the ground wasn't available. Like, I don't think that everybody should just be bending over to suit a club, but look, it is what it is in terms of when it's on. But I suppose Shamrock Rovers and Shelburne always has a little bit of bite to it. I think the All-Ireland Cup game earlier on this season, or only a few weeks ago, not earlier on the season, a few weeks ago, probably adds a little bit more because obviously Shamrock Rovers won that night, and I think Shelburne are still probably scratching their heads as to how that happened. But at the same time, Shamrock Rovers, they're out of the league. Like, they've had a disastrous league campaign. They'll obviously have had the high of a cup final, but you'll have the low of losing that and losing it on penalties. But at the same time, I think the carrot of another cup final kind of weigh a lot heavier for them, because Shelburne are obviously still in a title race as well. But look, no matter what player you talk to that's played on cup final day, they'll all tell you it's the best day of the year. Like, and obviously at the start of the season, your main goal if you're a team is you want to win a league. Like, but at the same time, cup final is the day, and you want to be involved in it, and it's a really, really special day for players, for families, for their friends, for like, so it'll just, I kind of think Shelburne will edge this one, but there's never been much between them, and there won't be again. I just hope it's given a strong referee, because I think it might need it.
Oliver Moran is doing the gig. Long time official in the league. I don't know.
Perfect.
Is this,
I'll tell you,
but
I'll let you know at 9:30 on Monday.
Listen, when I was chatting with Pearl and Megan Smith Lynch a couple of weeks back outside Turner's Cross, I did ask them very quickly about this fixture, and here's what they had to say.
For Shamrock Rovers in the FAI Cup then next week, I mean, you're chasing a double, on all intents and purposes. How big a game is it in the context of your season?
Yeah, it's a big game. I just want to know who's doing the draws. Galway away and then Rovers away. I'm telling you, we don't get at an easy. But look, you want to win cups, you have to be, the teams you come up against, some of the better teams that are in the top end of the league. But I mean, they knocked us out of the All-Ireland, and we felt we dominated that game. We were coming out with sick that we didn't actually win it, and we want to put something right in that game. And look, it won't be easy, and never is, but if we play to our standard, our level, we look forward to games like that. I relish games like that, and so do the group. So we're in good form. Like, we've been playing really well. As I said, we beat a really good Galway side. We've come down now and got 3 points down in Cork. And first focus would be at Lone, and then we'll look towards Rovers in 2 weeks' time.
Of those, though, if we play the bigger teams now, we want to earn the right to be in that cup final. So we're willing to pay anyone on our day, and it's the best day of the year, the FAI Cup final. So we'll do anything to get there, and we don't, like, it doesn't bother us who's standing in our way. We'll just make sure we win that game and progress to semi.
John, it doesn't bother us who's standing in our way. We'll just make sure we'll win the game. It's all about mentality, isn't it?
Yeah, and you kind of listen to them and you believe them. I think I think Shelburne are a level above everybody else in the league for the last couple of months. I even like that All-Ireland Cup game, as Eileen kind of hinted there. Shels will be wondering how they lost that. They absolutely dominated that game, but Rovers came out on top in the end. And I do think that's going to be something that Shels aren't going to make the same mistake twice. I think they're an exceptional team, and no disrespect to Rovers from a Cork City as a Cork City fan. I really hope Rovers win that game, because I think Shels' name is already on the FAI Cup, and I really want to avoid them. So best of luck to Shamrock Rovers, and hopefully, if you are listening to this on a Tuesday, they've won it.
Here's the thing. I haven't told you yet, John, but I really want to do an FAI Cup preview special at the end of the season, FAI Cup final preview special. And if Shamrock Rovers...
yeah.
if Shamrock Rovers and Cork City play each other in the semi-final, then we're guaranteed that said preview will only have one side minimum involved in it, because the winners of one semi-final are guaranteed not to take part. So I kind of want Shamrock Rovers out on that basis alone, to be honest with you. But I don't want Cork City knocked out. I do not want Cork City knocked out. We will figure a way around it if and when these things happen. Is there anything? There's nothing else to pick up on that game, to be honest with you. Look, it's a Monday night. It is what it is. Best of luck to both sides, and we'll see who's in the draw, which is on Tuesday morning, isn't it? Tuesday afternoon, 12:30 on YouTube as normal. Yeah.
Man Rovers.
So there'll be three sides praying for Sligo to come out. I mean, Sligo at home is the draw everybody wants, is it not? And that's not being disrespectful to Sligo.
It's not, because look, like, to be perfectly honest about it, Sligo won Cork City. They're not going to want to play at Lone or the winners of Shels and Rovers. Do you know, you like, whatever, I think it was Megan there, like, we don't care who's standing in front of us. Yeah, that's fine if you're in Shels. If I'm a Cork City fan, I want Sligo at home in the semi-final, so you have a day out. Like,
you're mentally weak, John. Come on.
Chalk it down. you put me in a room with Pearl Slattery and Megan Smith Lynch. There's only two people that have mentality in that room. Like, it's not this fella.
Well, let's be fair.
But Tommy,
and I'm not trying to be controversial here now again. I promise. I'm just saying it as it is. There's no reason for any of the other teams to fear Shamrock Rovers if they were joining against them in the semi-final. They've only won 3 league games all season. Calling a spade a spade.
I agree. And that's why I want them to win. I think if it's, I think Athlone, Sligo, Rovers, and Cork City as your semi-finalists. I think, as a City fan, I think all those games are within City. If Shelbourne are one of those those 4 teams, I think Shelbourne go all the way and win the cup.
Oh, okay, cool. We'll park it there and see what happens on Tuesday, and we will have all the news next Monday, before you guys listen to us. I'm going to do, the previews. Rather than previewing the games, I'm just going to ask you for one word, who wins each game. So team or draw, and we'll do it that way. It's Athlone's bye week, which probably suits them, Eileen, in a way. Just gives them a little bit of time to readjust and recompose themselves.
Yeah, just 100% exactly that. I think they need that. It's been a mentally draining few weeks. All the results have went their way on the pitch, and look, that's really important. But what has happened probably off the pitch has been really hard. So I think it's important to just take it's fallen probably at the right time for them as well, and they're not having to wait off the back of a bad result as well, which I think is good. It's hard to go into that bye week if you've had a loss, but they haven't. So I think that they can just refocus on the remainder of the season now.
Okay, John, we'll start with you. DLR and Wexford, one word.
Wexford.
Eileen?
DLR.
John, Galway and Sligo?
Galway.
Eileen?
Galway.
Okay, I thought she might be cracking up. I'm just glad to know she's not. Eileen, Peamount and Shamrock Rovers?
Draw.
John?
Peamount.
Treaty United and Cork City. Eileen?
City.
John?
Draw.
And the live game on TG Cahir Saturday night, which could be a cracker, to be fair, and I fully expect Bohs to give Shels all they can handle. But how does it finish, John?
Shels.
Eileen?
Draw.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. It's this time of the week again. Sorry, that was the Russian version, which I'm not really...
I was thinking that was one of the foreign ones.
Do you want me to play the Russian version?
It doesn't really matter. You do you, Declan.
All right, so I forgot I changed the... Yeah, every time I moved... Okay.
Почтальон Пэт. Почтальон, почтальон, почтальон и черно-белый кот.
Только день начнется, поэт с утра проснется, горожанам письма повезет. Почтальон, почтальон, почтальон и черно-белый кот.
All right, enough is enough then. We'll hit the mailbox. It's very actually Cork City dominated, to be honest with you, you know. For some strange reason, I don't know. If City get a home draw in the semi, is that the game where the club should be handing out free tickets, get some of the squad out to schools and get a crowd in?
Well, under 16 tickets are free anyway, but yeah, I do think they should be handing out free tickets. But I also think if the club expect the players to go out to schools and out, that they should be paying them for their efforts, because we have people that actually are employed to do things like this. So instead of always just getting the players and expecting them to roll out on their already busy schedules, if you're doing that, pay them for doing it, or else get the people that are employed by the club to work in the community to do it.
And the men's players.
Correct.
That's not happening anyway. That's not happening.
Yeah, but sorry, no, to be
PFAI contracts and everything else won't. Yeah.
Oh, I know. No, but you have to. Whoever the draw would be against, you actually have to get them to agree if you're giving out free tickets because of the split gate situation.
So kids are free anyway. I think kids under 16s are free anyway. Yeah,
that's true. Actually, yeah. So it wouldn't impact your.
But I do think there is merit in giving out physical tickets instead of City saying kids are free. Then do you know what I mean? Actually having a physical ticket,
100% makes a massive difference.
But you'd imagine, John, that most of the clubs left in the draw at the moment would be happy enough to get as many people in and wouldn't be on the hunt for small money that comes out of an FAI Cup semi-final.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if you say, oh, we're going to give out 2,000 kids tickets, it's not even if those 2,000 kids all turned up, it's not like they're going to really have a massive impact on the result or anything. It's not like you're giving out 2,000 tickets to the Commandos, who was brilliant to see them at the game actually at the weekend, the Cork City match. But yeah, it's it's just a technical point, but it really shouldn't stop anyone promoting the bejesus out of the game. Actually, it shouldn't. That doesn't just apply to Cork City. Any team in hosting a home cup semi-final should be jumping through hoops to get it sorted. And ideally you'd have TG Cahir showing both games staggered, one after the other on TV as well. It's the second biggest day in the football calendar in the country.
Or they might both kick off at 5 o'clock on a Saturday and compete with 3 other league games. Should be not.
Yeah, and be preceded by a managerial announcement from the international team or something.
Yeah. The managerial on my brain. No, it's a bit early. There's still 8 weeks left in the season, but I'm getting there. I'm nearly getting to the point where I start sacking fellas left, right, and centre. But
relax yourself.
Yeah. I need to calm down a small bit. I get too far ahead of myself. The Cork City FC women never did.
2 weeks off yet.
The Cork City FC women never say die attitude has stood to them this season and saved them a few points throughout. Will they continue to get away with this, or are improvements needed on starting off better in games to give them more security? Eileen?
I think City have made massive improvements. I think their mentality is the big thing, but their fitness levels, they're on a different level. And I think the players themselves know that, so they back themselves to go later in a game as well. And that's huge credit to our Orla, is it, that does the S&C with us? You'd have to give her massive credit, because that was something that I think when Danny came in first, you could see he wanted to play a certain type of pressing football, and we just weren't physically fit enough to do it, and they are now, and the players know they have that fitness, and they're willing to, back themselves deeper in a game. Obviously, look, of course, you want to come out and start really bright and be 2 or 3-0 up, but that's not the way this league works. You have to have that physical fitness, and look, both sides showed it on Saturday in the grass. But yeah, they're definitely a different animal mentality wise, and again, credit to Danny for bringing in Dennis Lorden, who's done a huge amount of work with them on that aspect, because that's such a big part of football now, I think.
Here. Dennis is a diamond, in fairness. Whenever you talk to the players, they all speak so highly of him.
Yeah.
Cool. There's also a shout out here very quickly for Becky Casson and her performances since she came back in and the influence that she's had so far and might have going forward on what is still a young squad. She's been very good, guys, isn't she?
Yeah, she's been excellent. Her work rate's incredible. And what I like about Becky is she's going to cause headaches for people in the club because Becky's going to demand things. Becky's going to demand that everything is right in and around the squad. I'm talking about off the pitch, and it's stuff we won't necessarily see as supporters. And you need that big character who knows what it takes to be successful, and that's willing to kind of go to bat for her squad. And that's exactly what Becky will do. But like on the pitch, she was incredible yesterday. Her work rate really was absolutely outrageous. So no, it's brilliant to see her back.
Outstanding. Lads, before we go, we got one DM. Now, I know the mailbag is very Cork City heavy. It's not our fault if, please send us in your questions about your club and your team's performances and we will get to them. Just seems to be City dominated this week. A DM. Hello, City fan here. Went to the Bohs game for my first time in a CCFC women's game. I've been meaning to go since Eileen mentioned how much better it is than the men's team, and she was dead right. Fantastic performance and a very exciting spectacle overall. There's only one Cockney Rebel, which, for those of you who don't know, is Danny Murphy's nickname. Keep up the great work, Toe Tap. Nice DM there. Thank you very much, sir. We won't say who you are. And just shows what a bad influence Toe Tap is on the Cork City sporting community and how we should obviously be ostracised at all times because we do nothing but bring torture and torment upon the poor beloved club. Guys, any shout outs? Anything you need to finish off the pod with?
I do. But it's League of Ireland related. I want to say to the Cork City and the Bulls players yesterday, for the time they gave my small one after the game, the Bulls players in particular, because they were absolutely devastated, and my small one wanted a picture with everyone, so they were more than happy to get down and have a chat with her, ask her was she playing. She told them she loves Katie McCabe, of course, and same way the City players, brilliant again. And look, that's how you make the game grow, because she came home and she went out to my mum today saying like that she met all the superstars yesterday and they're all her friends now, so you're her friends as well. So look, I'm sorry about that. But no, the players in this league are just brilliant. And that's every club, is said. But it's just when you see it, it's probably the first time I've seen it with my own small one. And it's really, really nice to see.
It's amazing when you're sitting at a game and you're sitting in the shed. And as John mentioned, the Commandos, the singing section are there. And it changes the atmosphere massively. And all you can hear is a 4-year-old shouting, "Come on, Arsenal," and "Go Katie McCabe." It changes things a lot. It gives you a new perspective on what it is you're watching and listening to. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Great parenting. Really good parenting.
Yeah. Mammy's a superstar. That Mammy's a superstar. I actually do have one thing I meant to say at the start and I forgot to. Donnchadh Noonan is a young lad who does some stuff for us. He does match reports for the Cork City men's team. He came to me before the Shelburne game and said, "Look, I'm going to the Shels game. Do you want me to do a match report for you?" I said, "Yeah, it would be brilliant. Thanks, Donnchadh." He sent it to me that night. And on the Sunday, I completely forgot I had it. And I never put it out. And I humbly apologise I did apologise to Donnchadh, and he was very good about it, but it was completely my screw up. And I just want to publicly apologise to him. He was at the Bohs game yesterday. He did another one. It's we've tweeted it off both our accounts. He sent it through to me. I saw on WhatsApp it was 1:30 this morning, which was Sunday morning. So look, he's a kid with a love for Cork City, a love for football, and a love for writing and reporting and that stuff. And we're happy to give him that push forward. And I know Johnny's doing some stuff with you. Yeah, and he's doing some stuff with you. So if people do have 5 or 6 minutes to go seek out that report and read it, we would genuinely appreciate it. John, I've had a shout out. Eileen's had a shout out. Surely there's somebody you need to say hello to or wish a happy birthday to or something.
No.
Okay. Left it all in.
I could make something up, but nah. Let's all go home. Well, let's all.
Wouldn't be the Yeah, exactly. Right, guys. We will return next week. Eileen won't, but I'm happy to say that Jessica Farry will be here for the duration of the podcast to replace Eileen. So we will get some insight on what's going on up in Sligo as well. But obviously, Jess is one of the most respected pundits in the game, not just female pundits, because that doesn't matter. So delighted that she has agreed to join us next week and try to replace the irreplaceable. But until then,
I do think it's important to get a professional every now and then. To my absolute speaking through my hoop on a weekly basis. Balance, Declan, balance. Adios.
Oh, stop, for God's sake. Adios is right. Adios, folks.
Adios.
Los Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast with Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan.
Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.